Today we're going to start kind of our first little series. I don't know how to call it. I don't know what they would call it, but like there's basically units in the inner circle. This is the first unit. This is, and there's a couple videos. There'll be an evaluation, a test for us to take, just different things like that. And it will progress from, as we've kind of discussed, personal health, personal growth, all the way into operational ministry, that kind of thing. We'll talk more today. We're using today, Sam's gone, so quite frankly, I didn't even look at the agenda. Maybe you could help with that and just see what we need to hit at the end, if anything. Thursday, we will have macro finance meetings, and we may have a more traditional DLT meeting with just some things that need to be discussed from an information and decision. Because today, we're kind of flip-flopping. Today is more the tone of discussion, health, that kind of stuff. So it just worked out that this week that's better. So Thursday will be a remote meeting in the morning. We will not come together. It will not be a typical monthly strategic meeting. We'll do macro finance, but then we'll just check in 30 minutes maybe after macro finance on anything that's important or urgent, and just await Sam to get back next Tuesday. In addition, Friday, the 19th, I think it is, we may gather, and I wouldn't call it a monthly strategic meeting, although it could be. We probably should have put our monthly strategic meeting on that date rather than moved it so early on a week. It's a holiday. Here's my commitment. I missed this one. Do you guys notice that some days when we have a short week because we give off Fridays, then we have the same monthly strategic, and so basically we put that on Thursdays, and then on that particular week you lost 2 days of work. So I'm trying to get better at that, like just seeing when that's coming. So our monthly strategic, though it'll look different, will be on the 19th. That's something new added to your schedule. Please look and see if you've already scheduled something there. But the focus of that day will be to ready ourselves for the retreat 2 days later, just to make sure that we are going down there with everything in order. And I do believe that it'll probably be a morning thing and not an all-day thing. So more on that, but look at that. Apologize for the change, but we're a new organization in the sense that we've got new people working new schedules and just different things like that. So for you that your spouse is not here, whether they are quote-unquote a pastor or not, whether they are an employee or not, this inner circle journey is for all of us. And with the exception of Shelly, quite frankly, everybody's on this team. And Laura. Shelly and Laura might be that category. I'm trying to figure out the right words, but there is an expectation of everybody differently than Shelly and Laura. But for the inner circle, there's an expectation of everybody. And the reason is because I just know how valuable your spouses are to you. Whether you're in the room or not, I know how much they lead with you. And this is a very ginger thing, because I always try to be very cautious with people's time, especially those who work another job. But I just want them to be on the same flow with you and us. And it's just a value. They're important, and I don't want to act like they're not important. So we're recording, I believe, right now. If we're not recording, then we have to do the heavy work of getting access to all this stuff. But I think that we should be recording at this point. Maybe you could just text Aaron and just confirm that we're recording. And that will make it easy for them to basically just see this and any discussion that follows. But what I need from you spouses that are here is just to reinforce the importance of finding time as soon as possible for your partner to watch and to participate. And again, I hope that that's a normal DLT thing, but it's especially for this thing. Any questions? We all good? Yes. For now, it's going to be on our YouTube channel for Leadership Chapel. It's not private, although I don't think we'll leave it up forever. So I think it's where we're putting it for today for easy convenience and access. We still got, it's easier on our team to not create another YouTube channel and all that stuff. So that's where this will be. And if it, for some reason it's not there, or you can't see it, hear it clearly, or whatever, then I am working with Ready, Set, Grow to try to get everybody access. It's just right now they've only given us 1 or 2 sign-ins, and so we didn't have time to get a bunch of sign-ins or a generic one for us all to use or something like that. So. For a typical DLT meeting. So yeah, that's there. But for this kind of special thing, she's recording the audio today, and she'll put it there. But I'm trying to get a video version too, so that's the YouTube. Okay, let's jump in. This is the first. Let me back out and just see. So you can see that they give us this dashboard, learnrsg.com, and there's just different coursework. So this is my account here, and Sam and Marcia have an account. We're trying to get a generic one for everybody, but you can kind of see there's just different classes or courses or introduction. I'm going to skip Scott's introduction. You can watch that on your own. And we're going to jump right into a vision for yourself. That is where we will go. I think it's going to jump about 2 minutes in. I haven't watched this myself, so I'm going to join you. Here we go. Wave at me if you can't end up hearing this. Now it's got a buffer. Should have just hit play.
Hey guys, what's going on? Right now we're going to be making growth plan as part of a 2-part formula for creating a vision for yourself. First, you got to create a plan, and then you need a team to help you fulfill. Creating growth plans for my life.
Yeah.
I am very excited about this. It's kind of like we're trying to make our New Year's resolutions together, and I think this is really important for creating a plan for your life.
Yeah, huge.
Why do you think this is so important for all pastors to do?
Because I think that there are so many leaders. I don't really like the word insecure, because if you're insecure, then it's offensive to you. But I got to just say I'm insecure. So if I'm insecure, I kind of think everybody has some kind of level of insecurity.
Okay.
And there's so many of us as leaders who are feeling like we don't have what it takes perhaps to take the church to the next level. I was talking to somebody just a few months ago, and they said to me, I know that I had what it takes to take the church from where it was to where it is now. I don't know right now, and honestly, I'm a little concerned and
Yeah.
depressed
Yeah.
that I have what it takes to get it to the next level. And they
Right.
actually looked at, on the phone on FaceTime was going like, what do you think? Do you have
Yeah.
it? And listen to this. This isn't just that individual pastor. And probably you are feeling it already and you know it isn't. But Schaefer Institute says that 50% of all pastors they survey feel ill-equipped to do their job. And so the thing is I think there's so many of us who feel like we don't have what it takes in so many areas that we better get some kind of strategic, systematic growth plan in order to be on the path to grow in the areas we need to grow.
Yeah, I think it's really, we talk about this in the next session with growth team, but we all have blind spots, deaf spots, and dumb spots. And a lot of times when it comes to insecurity, especially with our dumb spots, we feel with ourselves like, if I'm bad at this area and I've been bad at this area, it's painful to even create new goals in that area because you're setting yourself up to fail.
I don't want to fail again.
Once again, right? And that's why we say it's not important just to create plans in this growth plan. It's so partnered with the growth team as well because only together we can find consistent growth. And that's why we have as our main point for this talk, I love this, I want to get it right on, your growth plan and your growth team, not your growth hopes and your growth dreams, will determine your success in life. I think that is just something that is so important that we have both together.
Yeah, I mean, so everybody here that's listening, you're sitting there. There's no way that you don't have it in your heart that you want to be a better leader.
Sure.
You want to be a better pastor. You want to be a better dad or mom. You want to be a better husband or wife.
Right.
I mean, you just want to do better in your life. Okay, who doesn't, right? But it's not our intention. Look at it. It's not growth, hopes, and dreams that's going to cut it. It's not your good intentions. Like, man, I hope people do not just automatically grow in life. You don't wake up tomorrow smarter or better. You wake up tomorrow older.
Yeah.
But that's not. You have to be intentional about it if you're going to get it. And so it's not just intentions; it's intentionality that's going to cause you to grow.
Right.
So let me just show you what I'm saying. Let's say that right now we're in Dallas, in our office here in Dallas. And so if I walked out to the rest of the staff from our studio and I said to everybody, hey guys, everybody drop what you're doing. I got a big surprise. We're going to Disney World, in Florida. And everybody get out there. I got a Suburban. We're all getting a Suburban. We're going to go. It's going to be a blast. And everybody's getting in there, and we start singing, "It's a small world out there."
All right,
okay. You know what I'm saying? And I say, guess what, guys? I already got fast passes for it. We can do all of that. But here's the key. If I get on the highway headed west, that's a problem.
Okay,
I mean, it reminds me of Dumb and Dumber. Remember when one of them fell asleep and the other one got on? And he goes, that John Denver, he's full of crap. Because there's no mountains and all that.
Right.
He's going the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
Just because you say, hey, I'm going to lose weight, doesn't mean you do if you don't get on a path of diet and exercise to do it. Makes sense. Every one of us understands that. That's in every area of your life. It's going to be the growth plan and the growth team that makes it happen.
Okay, let me see if I get this right. So when it comes to like weight loss or weight gain, you're saying not my intention. So just because I want to and I have the intention to gain weight or lose weight, that doesn't matter. You can have the strongest desire to do that, but that doesn't change anything. It's only the path that you take, the direction you take, that's going to create the change.
The results you're getting right now is because of what you're doing. And you're going to keep getting the same results if you keep on the same path you're on now.
Yeah,
if you want a different result, you better get on a different path.
Right.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a path of growth comes from a plan that you develop intentionally of growth, okay?
Well, that leads us to the big question really well, I think, is do you have in place what you need to reach your full potential? And this is a hard question to really soak in, like, I don't know, how would I know? Well, this is why we're about to go into each of the roles, because in each area of your life, you have a pretty good direction. Even if you don't map it out and over-engineer the process, you have a pretty good idea of where you're at and where you want to be, and do you have the plan and the system and the calendar slots in your calendar to get from where you're at to where you want to be. So the big question that you have to ask yourself in each area, write this down, do you have in place what you need to reach your full potential?
And this is huge because if you're not growing at the pace that you need to as a leader, you actually become a lid to everybody you're leading.
Yeah.
So you become a
Right.
lid to the church. You can't get more. Better disciples because you're not at a place to be able to lead the church or
Right.
the organization to do that. It's the same thing with your family. Is if you're not growing as a dad, then you can be a lid to your kids' growth. If you're not growing in your marriage, then that becomes a lid to the full potential of what God meant for you guys
Right.
to have as a couple. So there's intentionality here that is so important. But imagine this, if you get this right, the difference it's going to make for your staff, the difference it's going to make for your board, the difference it's going to make because you become in your church, in your family, a model
Yeah,
of health,
right, exactly.
a model of growth. And everybody goes, man, I'm going to grow like him. How does he do that?
Right.
And well, you got to get a plan.
Yeah.
And man, it's your growth team, it's your growth plan, not your growth hopes and your growth dreams that's going to cause you to be successful. And so I want to ask you something. Just tell me, this is a big deal. I'll tell you right now, this is my son, but in many ways, he challenges and inspires me by his patterns of growth. He is intentional and has a growth plan for like every area of his life. Even I think you have a growth plan to get your growth plan better. So
Yeah.
tell me about kind of what hit you that caused you to start getting so focused on this.
Well, so I'm in a really cool spot, and this will be cool to watch back later, but I'm in a spot right now where my wife and I are having a baby, and we're going to have a baby in a couple months. And
I'm going to be a poppy.
That's big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're really excited about this. So I remember having the thought that I want to get as clean and as pure as possible and as healthy as possible in every area of my life so I don't pass down bad habits to my son that's going to happen. Even before that, something that came that was really strong emphasis and a motivation for me to grow was before I was married, I wanted to get as healthy as possible in every area because I didn't want to bring into my marriage more baggage and more conflict that needed to be there. I wanted to be as healthy as possible. And so for me, I felt like a lot of times there's a in one of the 12 rules for life from Jordan Peterson, which is a great book, he says that treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping.
Wow.
Because a lot of times people take better care of other people than they do themselves. higher respect to help their wife or even their pet than they do themselves. So for me, the biggest motivation for me to get healthy in all areas of my life was not by motivating myself to try to work harder, but to be as healthy as I possibly can for my wife and as healthy as I could for my future son. And that was a huge catalyst for me. Did you have something similar like that for you?
I like what you're saying there too, because sometimes we think about things that we're doing to develop ourselves or to take care of ourselves is like something like that's selfish or it's self-indulgent.
Right.
It's not self-indulgent, it's self-respect.
Right.
And it's
exactly.
also a self-value, you know, to say, hey, this is important, not only to take care of myself, but that impacts every other thing in my life. The biggest probably trigger moment for me is when I was trying to grow already in it, okay, all the time. But when I became the pastor of Oaks Church back in 2001, I'm 33 years old, and I'm going like, this place is stuck. We're at the same attendance we've been for 10 years. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. I feel lost. I feel overwhelmed. I began to pray and just say, God, you got to bring people who's smarter than me, further down the road than me. And God began to bring those people around me. And when he did, the great thing about it is they didn't just start telling me what to do. They helped me to start changing and helping me to know how to think.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Okay, changing in my thinking and how to put the plan together for growth. And so when these key people came around and said, now listen, I'm going to help you right now in this, but let me tell you to what you need to start reading, what you need to start doing, who you need to get around, the plans for growth here so that you can keep growing. And so what I thought would be good is the plan that was given to me, and it's just 3-step plan. That's simple. Doesn't mean it's easy. It's simple. That they gave to me, I want to give to you.
Yeah.
How about that? So you want to start us off? Let's go, everybody right now, get your activation guide. Get ready. On the back of it, if you want, you can put down these 3 steps, and the guide, the little chart there is going to help you. The diagram is going to help you to fill that out.
Yeah, so the first step is you got to identify the roles in your life. So really what you're looking at here is all of the areas of your life that you have to manage. These are things that you just can't ignore. Let me give you some examples that we have in our life. And feel free to change the words if there's different words that trigger better positive
that fit
thoughts
you, right.
that fit you exactly, right? So here we go. In the personal side of things, we have your physical health, right? So you could call that working out or whatever. Mental health.
But just being physically healthy is a big deal. You got to take care of that.
That's really hitting on the exercise and your eating for you. This is what you have for you. We have mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and financial health, right? So
yeah,
go ahead.
Good. You want to say something on that?
Well, yeah, something that I was talking to my counselor about, I really like that a lot of people put spiritual as one of their roles in life. And he actually was advising me for people that maybe grew up in a situation like me where my dad was a pastor my whole life, that have more of a Pharisee type bent wheel type of thing if you're raised in church. He said maybe don't put spiritual as your role in life, put relationship, and you're assessing in there, how am I doing in my relationship with my spouse? How am I doing in my relationship with my kids? How am I doing with my relationship with God? So it's more relational focused than it is spiritual, where it's talking about, did I pray this morning and did I read my Bible this morning?
Good.
And so that was something I really liked too. But keep going. There's some other
so
stuff
here's,
too.
like, I wrote down some of mine. Okay?
Right.
So number one, that first one, I don't know how anybody's going to skip personal.
Sure.
Because if you don't have
Sure.
physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, financial, if you don't have that stuff together, everything else is going to flow from that. So, but in my life, I wrote down, I have 4 others. So I think most people, 5 roles is pretty good that you want to have. If you start having 6, 7, 8, 9, it starts getting a little cumbersome for you. So my 5 roles, I'll just give you my illustration. And if you look on the little chart we gave you for your activation guide, you fill them in there. You don't need to fill mine in, fill yours in. But for me, it's personal, it's family, which is husband and dad. It's a communicator, which means preaching, like Sundays and so forth. But it also is doing like what I'm doing right now and communicating to you and putting talks together and writing, that. So communicator. And number 4 is writer. So I'm writing books and writing material and blog and all that, podcast. And then number 5 is spiritual father. That's me, okay? That's what I do. So these are the roles of my life that I need to grow in and want to grow in. That's what you need to figure out. What are the roles of your life? And then you need to kind of assess on a regular basis. It may be a monthly basis. It may be a quarterly basis. I'm setting it up here that it's a focused quarter. This quarter, here are my roles, and I want to assess how am I doing right now in each one of these areas. How would you assess?
Yeah, so I said you can do red, yellow, or green. So some people do 1 through 10, but some people get glitched up on that, on saying like, man, I don't really know what a 7, what's the difference between a 6 or a 7? So really, we don't want you to this is a tool to help you with perspective and then taking a next step. So don't overthink this, don't over-engineer this. We just like doing a simple grading system of red, yellow, or green. You're gonna see this on your activation guide, so you can go ahead and write down all your roles and then assess how you're doing right now. Even ask your spouse, how do you think I'm doing? I think I'm doing a yellow. Do you think I'm doing a red? Do you think I'm doing a green? Assess where you're at and name all of your roles. That's the first step. But number 2 is we don't want to just analyze where we're at. We want to set goals for where we want to go. Just because it's the current scoreboard of where we're at, we might be a red right now, it doesn't mean it's static. We can change the score. So second step is creating goals. And for us, we want to get some kind of goal tracking system, a written goal that is something that's easy to track. So for us, there's 2 types that we like. The first is from 4 Disciplines of Execution. They write from X to Y by Z, right? So from point X to point Y by this time period. So that could be like from 200 pounds to 185 by December 31st. And then you create your plan for that underneath.
But how do you know, because I have people ask me this all the time, is they go, how do I know if this is a good goal or a bad goal? Like, I don't want to set goals that aren't, smart. And that reminds me, I like it, that they say, I don't want to have a goal that's not smart, that what is a smart goal?
Yeah, so a SMART goal is something that is specific, measurable, attainable, rewarding, and has a timeline to it.
So wait a minute, so it even spells smart.
Spell smart out, right? But
So-
really, and that's the acronym that is very popular, the SMART goal. But I would just encourage everybody that you have a definition of what true north sounds like as being a father, or being a mother, or being a spouse, or in your work. You have a definition already of what good sounds like. And so any goal that's helping you become your ideal self in that role, that's helping you take a positive true north next step in a role of your life, is a good goal. That's
Wow.
good. If it's a quantitative goal, meaning I'm gonna get from this number to this number, or it's a qualitative goal, meaning I want my relationship with my dad to be closer. Well, how do you measure that? Well, it's more of a qualitative goal. So either way, that's helping you take steps to your ideal measurement of what good sounds like. It's a good goal. Because
It's kind of like defining what green is.
Exactly.
If you would have given yourself a green,
Right.
what does green look like?
Right.
Define green
Right.
in your health. Define green when it comes to your finances. What's green? And as you're moving forward. And in a quarter, it may be green is so far off that you could just get closer to green.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if you're a red, you're not going to go in a quarter maybe from red to green. Maybe you could, but it depends on how big it is. That it may be I'm green because I'm headed towards it. Like I'm doing good on this because I'm headed towards my ideal. That's a very important deal. And by the way, I think it's important, guys, that as you're doing this each quarter, that you're going to have your roles out. You're going to assess it on the left. You're going to write out your goals for every one of them. But let's just say this. Let's say you're very fit and that your exercise regimen and your eating, you're very good at that, okay? So that doesn't mean that it doesn't take discipline or whatever. It's just that you've attained that level of green and you're just going, I'm going to keep doing that. But that's not something I have to emphasize. It's just something I have to maintain.
Yeah.
But in this area of emotional health, I really think I need to get into a counselor because there's some of my family of origin stuff that I'm needing to grow in, or I have issues going on in my marriage I need, or parenting that I need. And so that's one that you may circle. I'm challenging you that in this quarter, for the next 3 months, 90 days, that you would circle 2 of the different roles. This role and this role are the 2 that I'm going to focus in on.
Yeah.
And so that every quarter, if you had 2 that said, no matter what, these 2 are going to move forward.
Yeah.
And you really kind of fix it on what are the ones that you think are holding you back right now the most from reaching the full overall impact you want to have. And so what are those 2? You pick those and you make a SMART goal. It needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. Attainable, that means you actually could do it in the quarter, right? In alignment to what you're wanting for the year.
Yeah.
And then it's rewarding. Like when I do this, it's significant. It isn't like, that was nothing. It's like it has a payoff.
Yeah, I just want to encourage you, Pastor, if you're anything like me, first of all, what he was saying about picking 2 of your roles, this is so important that you're not trying to strive for perfection. You're striving for becoming healthier at a pace that's sustainable. So you can say, hey, I hear you, I'll pick 2, but really I'm going to work on all of them. That's probably my go-to, is I'm going to overwork, I'm going to try harder, right? And you can try to do that, and you can say I'm working on all of them at the same time, but really you're going to have to triage your time because you can't work on too many things at once and manage that effectively. We want you to just see improvement over time, and give yourself a definition of what good sounds like and what winning sounds like for the quarter. So if you don't give yourself a definition, you're going to expect your definition will be perfection. And if your definition is perfection, you're never going to hit it, and you're always going to be the carrot and the stick, where you're giving yourself a standard that's unbeatable, and you're never going to be satisfied. And you're going to continue to have a low self-esteem and thinking you can't accomplish things because you're never giving yourself a definition that you can win at.
I think the thing that helps us on that is I'm not saying I'm going to neglect those other areas.
Yes.
It's that I'm not trying to take ground.
Exactly.
I'm trying to keep ground in these areas.
It's a maintain goal.
And move forward in a big way in these 2
Absolutely.
areas. Like that. For instance, I just set mine for this quarter. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
And my 2 that I picked is physical and I said spiritual.
Okay.
Because a lot of these others,
Right.
I've really been killing it on.
Okay.
And so in my physical, I know that in a quarter, I'm probably not going to be able to get fully to where I want to for the year, but I can say for the next 90 days, this is where I want, and
Absolutely.
I've defined that so that as I'm moving toward it and I hit it in the quarter, I'm going, come on, I'm not to where I want ultimately,
I'm at the finish
but
line,
I'm on my way, and I won for this. And so you got to have those
Huge.
moments of winning.
That's huge.
And then on the spiritual, I'm going, look, I got a new job, and like I'm going now into a realm of being global pastor and TFI and Ready, Set, Grow, all of this. And so getting my Sabbath in the way it works, I'm not doing it where I have a day off during the week. I work Monday through Friday now, and Saturday's the Sabbath. I got to get a new rhythm and figuring all of that out. And so that's a big one to me, is how am I honoring my relationship with God and keeping that close during this time. So those are my two. I have my goals. I have people helping me and so forth. And we'll talk about that in the next session to get in the team. But once you have your roles, once you've discovered the roles, once you have set your goals, then you've got to design your plan. And designing your plan, that's number 3, write that down, is how am I going to make this happen, is reverse engineering. If we're going to just take the weight deal, it just seems to be a simple one that we can all relate to. If I say we're going to go 200 to 185 in this quarter, then what does that mean? That means every week I'm going to exercise 4 times a week for an hour or whatever it is, and I'm going to eat at this calorie count, or I'm going to eat this certain diet or whatever. This is my plan that I'm going to do. And I know that if I do 1,900 calories a day, then that's going to cause me in a week to lose 2 pounds. And over 90 days, that would be this, it could hit this, and then now you have, if I just execute the plan, I'm gonna hit my goal.
Well, you know what that is? It's kind of like the gravity thing. Whether you want it to happen or not, it's gonna happen. So you wanna find a plan that puts you on a path that the results are not a matter of crossing your fingers, I hope this happens. It's a matter of timing.
If I say if I wanna read 3 books in 90 days in the quarter, then I know I've got to have this, read this much time.
If I read an hour a day, at this many pages a day, it's not a matter of I hope this happens, it's a matter of it's going to happen.
If I do what I got to do today, I'm going to be in alignment to accomplish what I need to do for the quarter.
So I think one of the things that's really helpful, because you're like, how do I know what the plan should be? Like, how sophisticated? Do I do like a business plan, like a 10-page thing? It doesn't need to be complicated. Ask yourself this question. When you know what point A is and you know what point B is, the plan is the path or the bridge in between. So ask yourself, if I'm here and I want to be there, what must be true for me to get from where I'm at to where I want to be? What has to happen? Create the mile markers. Maybe it's like a rule of 5, right? So if there were 5 steps, like big rocks that I have to jump on to get me from where I'm at to where I want to be, if it only took 5 steps to get there, and these are the major big buckets, that there's a lot of little detailed tasks along the way, but the 5 major buckets, what would they be for you? And what must be true to get you from where you're at to where you want to be? This is what you need for your plan.
So we're encouraging you right now, when this session's over, get that activation guide, write out and discover your roles. Take a minute to assess. Maybe ask your spouse or someone else, this is where I think I am, where I'm. You know what's funny is yesterday I was going over this with the pastor and his wife. He and his wife were sitting there, and he assessed himself as a yellow. And she said, babe, you're not a yellow, you're a green. He says, well, I see myself as a yellow. Okay, you could be a yellow, but I think you're a green. Like they're having that's good. That's good on that. Especially since that was an area about being a husband and taking care of her. But that's important. Do the assessment and then set up your goals of what you need to do to hit that, your X to Y by Z, and make it smart. And then you're going to come into what's my back off plan. So we're going to do that. But I just want to tell you, I'm so excited about you making this plan. And even in our next session that we're going to talk about getting a growth team to help you to execute and to achieve your plan, because I can just imagine that a year from now or a couple of years from now that we're going to sit together, and guess what? A year from now, you're going to have this quarter. You're going to hit the 4 quarters. And a year from now, you're going to sit down and you're going, oh my gosh, everything that I was saying was green, or what I needed to be in all these key areas, I've made major ground. And where I'm starting now is actually where I was hoping to be last year. And now this has become, my ceiling has become a floor to another level of growth. And with your kids, you're going to go, wow. In relationship in your marriage, wow. In relationship to your church, you're going to go, wow. Why? Because your growth plan and your growth team was activated. It wasn't your hopes and dreams. It was a growth plan and growth team. And that's why you're being successful in life. So right now, I want you to get ready. Get your activation guide out, work that through. And then one last thing, let's talk about the calendar.
Okay, yeah.
Like getting your calendar together. Sometimes people ask me at this point, they go, okay, but how does this fit into your daily calendar?
Sure.
Every Sunday at night, I work through assessing how did I do the week before, and then planning the next week.
Right.
And I'm thinking through my calendar on all of my time, excuse me, of where I'm going to put the different things I need to do in order to reach my goals, right?
Yep.
So the first thing in thinking about at the very beginning of getting your calendar together, there's 3 R's that when you're putting your calendar together, remember, you can either plan your calendar or you're going to leave it for others to plan it for you.
Sure.
I mean, basically, they're going to determine, hey, can you meet with me? I guess it's open.
Right.
Listen, you got to fill your calendar with what's most important and what's in your growth plan before everybody else gets in to help you to do their growth plan, okay?
Yeah.
So the first thing you do is you look at what is required. In other words, like in our life, we know we got a staff meeting on Thursday.
You have to do this.
We're at staff meeting, we have to do it. Sunday at church, we got to be at church.
Right.
We have to prepare from it, whatever. What's required, and you have to do Wednesday night service, Sunday morning service, whatever it is, put it in what's required, okay? Put that in first. Second thing is, what's going to give you the greatest return? So that means I know right now, according to what I need to do, me casting vision, me handling the money, me handling the staff and development, me preaching, this is it. So one of the biggest returns is me preaching. So I'm going to put in there, I got to have time to study. Here are the times I'm going to study. Here's when I meet with teaching team. Put that in second. The things that only you can do that's going to bring the biggest return to your church and ministry. Write that in. How much time do you need to accomplish that? That also has to do with most return in your growth plan.
Right.
And then what's going to give you most reward? That's what re-energizes you. So that's times you're going to put in there as, man, I may have an open time here, but I know if I'll go play golf, or I know if I spend time with this person, or I know if I meet with this mentor, that's going to be the biggest return of replenishing me. You need to put that in there. Those are the 3 R's that you put in your calendar first. What's required gives the biggest return and the greatest reward. So fill out your activation guide, and then as you do that, you're going to say, okay, I need to put this in my calendar. That's the stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's really good. I just want to give them an example just in case, just to make it super clear on this. The return is kind of like the 4 quadrants. A lot of people spend so much time in the urgent and important quadrant 1. The quadrant 2 is where your life change is going to happen. That is the non-urgent but important. For you, something that you have said is one of the roles of your life is being an author, right? You think one of the biggest differences that you can make is by sitting down at your computer and writing, because you can take what you learn, package it up, and help pastors, right? So you have a time block on Monday and Tuesday from 9 to 11 to write.
Yep.
If somebody like me, I'm on the team and I say, Dad, I need a meeting with you to talk about this or whatever, right? And I said, can you meet at Monday at 9? You have a choice to make. Because this is a meeting by yourself, you have to decide, am I going to have the self-respect to stick with this? Or if it is really important, like you really need to meet with me, you don't delete that block.
I move it.
You move it. And you keep it there. So that's fine. I'm not going to do it from 9 to 11. I have to do this thing. I have to go to the whatever, doctor's office, right? But I'm going to do it from 1 to 3 and not 9 to 11. These quadrant 2 non-urgent but important things are the things that are going to change your life. And have the self-respect. Just like you wouldn't show up late to a meeting that you scheduled with somebody else, don't show up late to the meeting you've scheduled with yourself. Treat it as that important. And you deserve to have these quadrant 2 time blocks in your calendar that are going to help you break through for double kingdom impact in your life. It's going to be awesome.
You know what's cool that John Maxwell says on that? He gets up every morning at 5 and writes, okay? That's what he does. And he said to me, he said, I don't wake up in the morning just because I don't wake up just because I'm not tired or whatever.
Right.
He said, what gets me up is I'm so excited with expectation of what I'm going to accomplish, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to write, what I'm going to discover, that I wake up every day, and what wakes me up is expectation. And if you have an expectation that you have a growth plan and that you're actually going to be able to put, if I just do what's in my calendar, I'm on my plan to achieve my goals.
I'm going to win.
You're going to win. And so activation guide, pull that out, fill it out, and man, we'll meet next time in helping you to get a growth team built to get this plan done. our roles in life and then setting goals in each one of those roles and then getting a back-off plan, like, okay, if this is my goal, then this is how I'm going to function to get there. Now, I want to talk to you in this session about developing a growth team to go with your growth plan. Why? Because truth is, you probably won't really be able to accomplish your growth plans the way you want to, at the level you want to, without a team of people helping you to do it. Now, I want you to just think, before I even get into it, I want you to think in your mind right now, just even if you want to pause, the recording here or the class, just to pause and think, or if you can just have it in your head, who's a coach, who's a teacher, who's a mentor in your past? It may be in junior high you had a coach, or it may be in high school you had a teacher that was a coach to you, that helped you. I think of Renee Rochester. Back when I was in high school, she was a coach for the girls, but she was also the head of FCA. And man, did she ever call the best out of me. Really, from her, I really got motivated to memorize scriptures, to speak from memory instead of from notes. I had never seen anybody memorize a whole talk and share like she did. So she was a constant learner. Those are things that I got from her. So who's people in your life that you had coach for you? Think about that. What do they have in common? Well, if you have a good coach, a good teacher, a good mentor, you know what? They're going to help you do things better. They're going to help you think bigger. And actually, they're going to help you to accomplish more than you would have done on your own. Bottom line, here it is. Leaders who have a growth team grow faster and more consistently than those who don't. I know it seems like duh, but why don't we have teams then that help us grow? I mean, because leaders who have a growth team are going to grow faster and more consistently than those who don't. So you want to get a team like this. So let me just ask you, do you have a team? Do you have a growth team? When I ask people that, most of the time they go, well, I got a team. I got a youth pastor. I got a kids pastor. I've got, a board. I got lay leaders. Listen, I'm not talking about a team that's with you to grow the church. I'm talking about a team that's with you to grow you. To grow you. That's the type of team we're talking about here. And most of the time, people don't have a designated team focused on their growth. And because of that, many leaders are stuck. They're right where they kind of have been, just maybe just a tweak here, a tweak there, because they're doing the same thing they've always done, getting the same results they've always gotten, and it's not always in alignment with what they're hoping to achieve or to gain. And so what happens is sometimes it can even psychologically mess with your head that because I'm not getting traction, because I'm not being able to grow like I want to, maybe the problem I'm facing isn't solvable. Maybe I don't have what it takes. And that's a bad place to be, isn't it? Not to have hope about being able to get better or think bigger. And really, you know what? In most of those cases, you're just a coach away. You're just a mentor away. You're just a team member away from busting through that barrier and going to a whole other level. You got to admit it, guys. We all have blind spots. Now, you say, well, I don't see any. Well, that's the very definition of having a blind spot. You can't see it. You don't see it on your own. The only way you'll ever see a blind spot is if you have somebody you trust and you respect who comes alongside of you and points it out. They get a mirror and say, hey, let me show you something back here you're not seeing. And so you need a team member to help you in blind spots. You need a team member who's helping you in deaf spots. God, do I ever need this? Not only do I have blind spots, like things that I don't see or whatever, but in my relationship with my wife, she helps me a lot in the areas of deaf spots that I don't hear how I sound to people. So she'll tell me, gosh, that sounded pretty harsh. I remember getting off the phone call even last week with a pastor, and when I got off, I didn't really feel great about the phone call. It's just like, you know how you just kind of feel funny about it afterwards? Like, that didn't just like, that was great. You just kind of feel funny. And when I got off, I hung up. Jenny walked in the room and said, did you mean to be so harsh? Did you mean to talk to them? You kind of talked down to them. What was that about? And man, I didn't realize how I sounded. And the way she started saying it back to me, I'm going, God, that's not what I meant. And so I figured out a way to call him back and to say, hey, I just want to say one more time how much you mean to me and how much it meant to me. You call me. I tried to repair it and work on it. And I think it ended up okay. But I'm just so thankful that Jenny is continuing to help me to hear things that I'm not hearing, how I'm coming off. You have deaf spots, guys. And if you don't have a team to help you in that, you're going to keep saying things and people receiving it in a way you're not meaning for it to be spoken. The third thing is you got dumb spots. All of us do. Places that we just keep doing things that are not the wisest. They're not the smartest moves. They're not the best way to do it. But it's the only way we've ever seen. It's the only way it's been modeled for us. So if you don't get team members that are further down the road, you're going to keep making dumb mistakes you don't even know you're doing. You got to get team members helping you in your blind spots, your deaf spots, and your dumb spots. And if you say right now, I don't know that I have those things, come on. You're proving the point. Because all of us do, we just don't know it. Russell Wilson, you know, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. He is one of the top quarterbacks ever, right? He's amazing. And yet I just saw on Sports Illustrated Instagram just a couple of months ago, I took a screenshot of it and pulled it off and sent it to my team, that he invests $1 million a year personally just on his growth team. He spends $1 million a year on trainers, on people who are going to be dietitians and chefs, people who are helping him in his diet, people who are helping him medically, people who are helping him on what's going on in his workouts off season. He even has counselors and sports psychologists that are helping him the way he thinks. You know why? He says, my goal is to still be playing football at a high level and starting when I'm 45 years old. And that isn't just, most people don't do that. They can't do that. And so he knows the only way I'm going to achieve this is not just having a schedule and pushing myself at the level I can. I got to have a growth team that's going to help me to accomplish that. If that's true for somebody at that high of a level, wouldn't that be true for all of us? Man, I remember when I first understood, for the very first time, the light bulb went off of, I need a growth team. It's when I was meeting with a mentor of mine, Dr. Sam Chan, and he said, Pastor Scott, I want you to tell me about your growth team. And I'm going, okay, I don't have one. He said, well, you do have one person on your team. It's me. I'm on your team. And then he said, one of my first action steps is going to help you develop other people you need on your growth team to come around you to help you grow. And so I want you to know this. I don't know how big of a growth team you have and how structured it is and how strategic it is, but I want you to know you got me on your growth team. And one of the things I want to do is, just like Dr. Chan helped me, I want to help you get the people around you that you need to help you go to the next level. So I want to give you the plan of how to develop your growth team. Are you ready? Here it is. Step number 1, you need to identify who you need on your team according to your roles in life and what you're needing them for. So what does this start out with? It starts out with a preferred profile. In other words, you look at your roles and what your goals are, and you say, okay, who's best in class to help me in these areas? In my physical life, do I need a coach? Do I need a dietitian? Do I need a doctor? In my spiritual life, do I need a pastor in my life, or a spiritual father? In the area of being a pastor, do I need a consultant? Are we building a building? And I know that's a big part of what we're doing. Do I need somebody who's helping me on that? What key people do you need in your life that are further down the road? Write it out of what you're looking for. I need somebody who has great skills in this, who can do this. But it's not just looking for the right person, but what you need from them. In other words, do you need somebody who's going to hold you accountable? Maybe you just need somebody who's going to be able, like in your physical fitness, who's going to look at your MyFitnessPal when you're putting in what you eat every day, and they're holding you accountable. Is that what you need? Or do you need somebody who's going to coach and train you? I don't need accountability. I need somebody to just know how to do this better. And so you need a mentor or a coach in that area. Or is it somebody that maybe you need a partner? And when I write books, the biggest thing I need is, I don't know that right now I'm needing a mentor as much as I need a partner. And so I have Pat Springle, who is the writer with me, and he collaborates with me on every book and writing the book. I write out the whole talk, the outline of the book, everything going on. I usually speak it and share it with people to get feedback and to develop it. But when I have that together, I sit down with Pat, say it all to him. He writes it out in 4 weeks, brings it back, and then I work from that manuscript to put it together through 3 or 4 different filters of what I do. So I really need a partner in that area. Now, some of you may say, I need help in these areas, but the people I need, I don't have access to. I don't know that I can pay them right now. And that's when you say, but I can have them as a digital mentor. I can have them as somebody, I'm getting their books, I'm getting their podcasts, I'm signing up for master classes and so forth, and that you can get it that way. You know, John Maxwell is now one of the key mentors on my growth team, but you're talking about until 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I had never met him and known him. I didn't have a relationship with him or access to him except through every book he wrote and every podcast and every CD back in the day, the Enjoy Tape Club and how I had all that. I took that in, and he was mentoring me before he even knew who I was. So first thing you need to do is identify who you need on your team and what you need them to do. Then the second thing is you need to reach out to them and ask them to officially join your team. And what does that look like? It means that you talk about what you're wanting from them. Hey, this is my role. This is the goal of what I have. And I was wondering if you could, help me on this. And they may go, well, how can I help you? Ask me a question. You say, well, what I'd like is, could I have maybe a session, a 30-minute session a month? Could I just call you at certain times? Could we set up maybe an hour talk? Whatever you're wanting from them, ask them. And you might even ask them how much it would cost to respect their time. And so you figure, I'm going to make an investment in this time of my time and my money to invest what I'm doing. And so that you reach out to them and you ask them, this is what I need. This is what I'm trying to do. Do you think this is something that you could help me on? And this is what I was thinking, but do you have a way that would help me? And they may say, well, I've got a class. Be faithful in taking that class and doing it. Give them feedback of how it helped you. Build relationship that way. And then you'll earn the right to be able to speak with them maybe one-on-one as you move forward. The third step is to take responsibility to get the most out of your team. In other words, I can't tell you how many times I talk to people and they go, you told me that person was really good, but when I meet with them, I just don't get as much out of them. I don't know. And I'll say, well, tell me how the meeting went. Well, they didn't prep for the meeting. They didn't send an agenda for the meeting. They didn't take notes in the meeting. They didn't have questions to ask in the meeting. It's almost as if they say, here I am, do your magic. Well, that's not how it works with a coach or a mentor. That's not how it works with a counselor. What you do, at least the way I do, is my responsibility. Like, I can have a coach tell me a workout plan, but they can't do push-ups for me, and they can't do pull-ups for me, and they can't go run the laps for me. I have to take a responsibility. They can give me a plan. I got to run it. And so in the same way, these are some of the things. Show up on time when you meet with them. Secondly, have an agenda and questions ready. Maybe send it even ahead of time. Take notes. There's nothing like people taking notes while I'm talking to them that makes me feel like this person is really taking this serious and they're going to act on it. Report your progress. Talk about that. I just got off a phone call right now with somebody calling and say, I got to tell you, you remember how you told me how to do this? Let me tell you how I just paid off. Man, I just got a big offering, or I just got, this person just stepped into this. Hey, this guy's ready to start a new church. I mean, that's gold. That's what encourages and fuels a mentor or a coach or somebody working with you. Share with them the progress that's being made because they're helping you. And then honor them. Do whatever you can. Pay them. Help them. In fact, find out what your mentor's vision is and come under it and help it. If I know that one of my mentors, like John Maxwell, is trying to get legacy leaders, legacy partners to come alongside him for the transformation missions, I'm going to try to get pastors in relationship to John to see that vision. If I have a mentor in Dr. Chan, and he has a magazine that he's doing, and I can come alongside to help, that helps me, but it also helps him. I want to do that every way I can to help my mentors achieve what God's calling them to do. That's part of my job as being a mentee, as being a son, to come into relationship to help them and to honor them. I'm telling you, that comes back to you in a blessing in every way. So that's the 3 steps. Identify who you need, and according to your roles and what you want them to do. Secondly, reach out to them and ask them, would they officially or in some capacity come on your team to help you and to move from here to here. Tell them the objective and the goal of what you're trying to do. And then thirdly, honor them and take responsibility to get the most out of them by taking the steps to really activate what you're learning from them and to share the progress and to share the blessing with them. Those are huge steps. Now, what I want to do, and in your notes and activation guide, you're going to be able to pull this up as well. But I want to show you my growth team and what that looks like. So on my growth team, and you have a chart there that you can look at, and it just has a circle in the middle that says God and me. That's because the number one person in my life that's on my growth team is the Holy Spirit himself, who Jesus said, it's better that I leave that he comes. So he'll guide you. He's a spiritual guide, a success guide, if you will, to come into my life, to help me, to guide me into all truth, to everything I need to know about myself and about what God's called me to do. So the Holy Spirit's right there with me in my heart, in every conversation, everything I do for my growth and development to become everything God's called me to be. But at very top is Jenny. That's my wife, and I call her True North. And the reason why I call her True North, and if you're a guy in here watching this, you want to really take note of this, because this is going to help you in your marriage, save you a bunch of pain and suffering. All right, you ready? When I put my growth team together at the beginning, what I did is many times I would talk to Jenny, who's my True North, my wife, and I would ask her, hey, what do you think about this? I'll just give you an illustration. I was asked to become a head position of a national organization, but it was a volunteer position. It was a position of honor, and it was a position of influence, but it was something that I would have to do from volunteer. I didn't have a staff. I'd have to recruit it and do all this. Well, it was intriguing to me because it was going to help me to be exposed to a lot of pastors out of the realm of my influence that I'd be able to meet and to work with and so forth. So I talked to Jenny about it. Jenny goes, well, what are you going to give up and stop doing? Because if you say yes to one thing, you're going to have to say no to something else to make room for it. And I said, I don't know. Gosh, I don't know. I think you're right. I'm probably just going to need to tell him no, but it just has such an upside to it, of who I'd be able to work with and meet with and so forth. And she said, yeah, but I don't see how you have time. It's going to wear you out. So I said, okay. Well, that's where we left it. Well, the next day, I talked to 2 or 3 other people on my growth team, my counselor and a couple of mentors, and they said, I don't know if you should shut that down too much. You've been asking God to help you to be able to expand your influence, expand your relationships. This may be the way. And by the time I got done talking to them, I go, well, maybe I should do it. I remember going home, and I got a call from the guy who had asked me, and he said, have you thought any more about it? I said, yeah, and you know what? I may be interested in doing this. Let me just have a couple more days to pray, and I'll get back to you. But this may be something I want to do. And when I hung up, Jenny looked at me and said, excuse me? I thought we had said we're not going to do that. And I said, I know, but today I just was thinking about it more. She goes, oh, yeah? What other wife did you talk to? Which is her way of saying, what other person did you talk to that you put at the same level of our discussion? When I took that to our counselor, Jeremy, and told him that story, and Jenny's sitting there, she goes, yeah, I was wondering, how does it go from our conversation that all of a sudden during the day he talks to other people and they talk him out of what we said? And he said, listen, let's talk about this. I'm going to help you, Scott. Jenny's True North. That means you and her, with the Holy Spirit, make the decisions for life for you. You're one person, one couple, one flesh. And so every time you talk to your counselor, whatever's happening there needs to come back into conversation with Jenny. Not that it's changed your mind. It's that information is now coming into the relationship and discussion you're having with Jenny as you're making this decision. And then if you talk to somebody else, that information comes into it. You gather the information from your growth team and you bring it into the conversation, not with a changed mind, but with new information to share with Jenny and making that decision. And it still is that you and Jenny are going to make the decision as you seek the Lord. I go, man, that makes so much more sense. And I said, that's going to help me, huh? And he goes, yeah, you keep her True North, it's going to work. And so that's how we've been functioning. Jenny's True North. Let me just tell you, besides the Holy Spirit, the greatest growth moments of my life have come from discussions with my wife. God has given her to me as the greatest tool of growth in my growth team. And so that's a big deal probably for you as well. Keep it true north. Then the second person I have on there is my counselor. I meet with my counselor, and you'll see the rhythms of my meetings are written underneath on the growth team diagram. That I meet every other week for 2 hours with my counselor. 1 hour with Jenny and me, and the other hours for him to tell me what I should have heard in the first hour, and some other things in my life as well. And so I meet with him regularly. Now, this helps me in multiple roles. It helps me in my spiritual role, my mental and emotional parts and components of my life. It helps me when it comes to my pastoral leadership and problems that I have, and how do I handle this and how do I handle that? Because, man, these burdens are on me. And then it helps me as a dad and as a husband in my family. And so this is a person that is helping me as a mentor, as a counselor in many areas in the roles of my life. That's a big deal for me on my team. He is, besides Jenny, probably the most strategic leader I have on my growth team. I encourage you to have a counselor in your life who's helping you deal with a lot of different things that come up that you're not going to have the wisdom to know how to do without having that type of person on your team. Then I have mentors and consultants, and I use the words there in the plural sense, because I don't just have one mentor for everything and one consultant for everything. As we've been in building campaigns and fundraising campaigns, I have Jim Shepard, who's the guy with me on that. I've got people who help me, Sandy Gibbs on buildings and architect. I have a person, he's a partner with me in that. Jim is a mentor to me in that. And then I have with my writing, I got Pat Springle, who is someone who is a partner with me in writing. I have John Maxwell and Dr. Sam Chan, who help me as mentors in my leadership and in the pastoral consulting realm. And so I've got different people there for those reasons. And I usually meet with them once a month or whatever the cadence would be. And then I have a teaching team. Now, a teaching team isn't people that I have as a mentor to help me to know how to teach. It's a partnership that I have of a team that's helping me to put talks together, messages on Sundays, talks like this. I didn't write this session that I'm doing right now on my own. I have Hunter, my son, who's on the teaching team. I've got Andy on the teaching team who helps with Father Initiative. I mean, these guys come on and help me to put together what's important, what am I missing, how's this coming off. This isn't the first time I've done this talk. I've already done this talk with the teaching team, so they give me feedback. So when I'm sharing it with you, I've already gotten feedback to get better, so that when I'm with you, it's at another level. So I have people that I can send my notes to. They give me feedback. They give me thoughts. They give me quotes. They give me things from their point of view. And then I'm able to change the talk, speak it to them, and they share it again. And so this is how you get better and better, at least for me. I have a teaching team. I have a prayer team. My prayer team is I have one person who's recruited 5 or 6 other people who they pray for me every day. And when I am able to, or I have an issue coming up or something happening that's pressing, I give it to them to pray for me and to be a prayer covering for me and to send words to me. They have my weekly calendar so they can pray through it. This is a strategic thing spiritually to have a covering for you as a prayer team. I have a financial advisor, and actually a team of that, because I have a financial advisor, but I also have somebody who does my taxes, and they're not just a CPA, they're a tax planner. They're helping me to know how to best handle my finances, to leverage it, to get the most out of it for the kingdom impact and for my life. And so I have a team that's mentors and consultants helping me in that. And then I have what I call truth friends, and that means, you know how you have true friends? Well, there's people who can be your true friends, but they don't feel comfortable telling you the truth about different areas of blind spots, deaf spots, dumb spots. And so you want to have truth friends. And part of what I'm thinking is some of you may be in a cohort of other leaders in Father Initiative. You may be in a cohort with Ready, Set, Grow. You may be in a cohort otherwise outside of this. And you need to have other pastors, other leaders that are in your realm of ministry or business and industry, and get those people around you who they're the SEAL team with you, that they're going to have your back, and they're going to help you, and they're going to encourage you. They're going to be a partner in peace with you. You know, somebody who's going to help you when you're down, help you to be a sounding board to them. And you need a group a cohort of other people that are kind of at your level of what's going on, and you guys are doing it together. That's a very important thing. So I have a group of truth friends. I have about 3 or 4 people that, man, those are my guys. Those are my people who rally with me. And that's a huge part of my growth team. And then I have my physical fitness team, and that's my CrossFit coach. I have a doctor, I have a dietitian who's helping me and partnering with me and coaching with me on my physical fitness. This is my growth team, and every one of those groupings there cover every segment of the roles of my life to help me to get better. They help me not only in what the plans I've made and reaching the goals I've made, but they actually challenge me on what my goals should be. And they also help me to get a plan that might even be better and more strategic in reaching those goals. So some of you may say, but I don't have time to meet with all these people and all that, or I don't have the money, to pay these people. Let me tell you, time and money is really about priority. You have time and money for anything that you prioritize. And listen, you may really be right. I don't have the time and money. Why? Because other things are more of a priority to you right now than to have a coach or a mentor in that area. But there's going to be a time where you're going to need to prioritize in every role of your life. Right now, something is a priority to you. So there's 1 or 2 things that should be a priority in your growth, and you need to engage a coach in that area or a mentor in that area if you want to be a leader who's getting more done, thinking better, all that. Leaders, they grow faster and they get more consistent growth in what they're doing when they have a growth team. And so that's why I'm telling you, you're going to need to do that at some time. Time and money, it's an issue of priority. You make the decision on that when it's priority for you. And then the other thing is you go, but I don't even know how to get these people. Ask people around you who do you have as a go-to person in this? How do you know somebody who could help in this? Is there somebody who's further down the road that you think could help me in this area? You can ask people. You could ask other people who are on your growth team. You could talk to our office and to our team that might be able to help you to know of 1 or 2 people that you could get in different areas. You just start asking, and it starts with a preferred profile. It's hard to find something you don't even know what you're looking for. If you don't know what role you need it for, the goal you're going for that you need, then you probably aren't even going to know what kind of coach that you need and what you need from them. So start there. I'm so excited because I'm telling you, I remember the day that I was sitting with Dr. Chan and he told me, Pastor Scott, I'm having to change my whole growth patterns and growing strategies in my life because of you. And I said, well, why is that? He said, because now that you have this growth team, you're growing like more than any other person I'm working with right now. And so it's forcing me to learn more so I can give you more. You know what I'm excited about? I'm excited for the day that you and I are going to have that conversation, or you and a key mentor that you have are going to have that conversation where you say, man, you better step, I got to step it up because, man, you're growing so much. Everything I teach you, you're already implementing it, take it to another level with your other team members. That's the day I'm looking for you, that you're growing faster and more consistently because you have a team. So where does that start? Identify who you need according to your roles and what you need from them. Reach out to them and ask them, whether that means you're going to have to put investment in or you're going to need to start with a digital mentor. And then what are you going to do? Get the most out of them by actually thinking, what do I need? How do I get it? Ask the questions, have the agenda, show up on time, and honor them in all of this. The growth team is going to make a huge difference. You're going to grow faster and more consistently because you put that growth team together.
All right, next Tuesday will kind of be our dated, by Tuesday, let's have thought through who's on our growth team, that kind of thing. Let's just keep planning for that, okay? So mark your calendars in that regard. I did say Thursday, I want you to have the assessment taken by Thursday, and I've got to get you some information to do that. So you'll see that on the Inner Circle Base Camp thing when we get the right links or sign in. Yes, beautiful woman on the front row. Well, first of all, some of you have said, okay, well, I need to decide like you brought up the role thing in the previous conversation. I need to decide the different roles that I carry or hats I wear, and therefore areas I need to grow or get better in. That's so true. Because there is this part of like, okay, this is all great thoughts, but how do we turn it into action, execution, and not just, one video that we watch? And I have found that getting the right people around you in close proximity reminds you, because a great example is Mike Wilson used to say, I don't know what I really am bringing to the table here every week, sitting around the circle with Kingdom Builders, because it's not like Kingdom Builders comes up every tactical meeting. And I was like, Mike, you are the weekly reminder to me that I need to resource and empower you. If I don't meet with you, if I don't take time with you, then we won't ever move. And what happens is, before, I would go 6 to 8 weeks without even thinking about Kingdom Builders, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're behind. What's next? Oh, Mission Miracle Sunday's right on the horizon, or we need this meeting, and I was blown about by the wind. And as soon as Mike joined the team, all of a sudden, weekly, I was thinking about it. And and monthly, I was meeting with him, or every other week meeting with him, and we were having action, steps in the right direction. Just the person being in close proximity to you is a huge key to actually accomplishing the goal. So, you can't ask these people and not schedule time with them with you, you with them. So what I'm asking for Tuesday is not that you have all these conversations with all these people in your life, but like identify the person that sits in that seat in your life. Identify the possible person that you may go and ask them. So, you can call people if you want. You can get ahead of the game. But just by Tuesday, I want you to have filled in your circles. There may not be as many circles as Scott has. This is a good, and some of these circles, he said, are multiple people. So you might end up having multiple people under the mentor or consultant side or what have you. But I think this does look balanced. So be careful not to take something away, because you might be taking an area of balance away. So, and we're behind you, and we resource. What's that? Don't take the truth. Yeah, just be peaceful. We're behind you on this. For example, let's take the health, fitness. So we have negotiated a way for there to be an $85 benefit in your pocket every month through the resource of Get Fit. And you don't have to use it. You can do your own route. But like, you are walking away from $85 of benefit this organization has set up for you. And again, the reason for that is that their membership's like $120 or whatever. And so, it's all right, $120. And so basically, just so that people have skin in the game and actually show up, we feel like they need to pay something. And so through John and Tara's generosity and through One Church's generosity, you can have that resource at a fraction of the cost, because we believe in it for you. Secondly, we've negotiated with Marty through a whole lot of things, and there is finances attached that I'm investing in Marty. There is no excuse that you can't afford to go see a counselor, because we have somebody that will see you for free that's here every day, or at least, and will meet with you whenever at your convenience. Marty's going to sit up here in 2 or 3 weeks and talk to all of Leadership Chapel with us about mental health. He's available. He will refer out if he's not the guy, but referrals will cost more money than he will cost you. But I am asking each of you to consider at least once a month connecting with a counselor starting now. You can figure out if that's you and your spouse together, or if that's some form of rotation therein, if that's just you. You can see somebody like Scott. He said 2 weeks, but I think that's new, because he was going weekly, and I think now he's doing 2 hours every 2 weeks. But like, that's the degree that he feels like that's important in his life. And he's obviously healthy enough to sit here and talk to people like us about health. So I think he's probably leading a pace setter for us in that area. And just down the list, the mentor and consultant box is getting checked these next 3 years by Mark Brewer and by Ready, Set, Grow. We've invested in that for you. And there are others, no doubt, that you could reach out to. So I want you to see, like, we are invested in you in some of these areas. Some of these other areas are free. Financial advisor. We have a guy with AG Financial, whatever, MBA, that kind of thing, when we send our retirement off, we have a guy that will come visit our staff, has come in the past, it's been a while, but will talk to us and be available to us as we're saying, do we want aggressive, portfolio or whatever? Do we want a safe portfolio? They're available. They'll talk to us. They'll Zoom with us. They'll Zoom with you individually. They'll talk with you. They'll come visit. They've got a regional West Coast guy. We've made that person available in the past. So you don't necessarily have to go find your own. You may have your own. Talk to somebody else and see if they've got somebody. Anyway, just if you have any thoughts or questions, come see us. We want to do all we can as an organization, but most of these things are going to be you just calling somebody and asking them to sit in this seat in your life. So by next Tuesday, I'm just asking you to find people that will sit in these seats in your life. And the odds are you're in a season that you need this kind of group more than you ever needed them. Maybe not last season. Maybe not whatever you were facing 6 months ago. But no doubt you are in a season right now in which the ante has been raised, the opportunity has been increased, the challenges are increased. You probably need a group of people on your growth team like never before. So don't resist. Don't let it fall behind. Let's execute this thing. Any last comments before we move on?
I want to give you opportunity. My Bible college teacher said something that I'll never forget. And as I say it now, it sounds kind of heretical, so catch the heart of it. But he said, in Bible college, he said, you are the gift that God is preparing for the world that you're going into. Now, Christ is the gift, I'm not the gift. But theoretically, I get the heart that he's saying. Like, in theory, he's saying, like, listen, you're here investing in your education, preparing to be I was in ministry classes, preparing to be a ministry. God is preparing you to be a gift. And so don't rob the world that the Lord is sending you to because, at the time it was probably like you're not studying or you're not, the very practical student things. But I remember that in seasons like we're in where I'm thinking, because this fuels some people, this overwhelms some people. And I can sit here and listen to this and feel like, oh my goodness, I have a lot to do. Or I'm way behind. Or I don't even know where to go for that. And I just think to myself, I want to be everything I'm supposed to be for the people that God wants to send me to. And that's true for all of us. So just remember, you're the gift that the Lord is preparing for the world that he's sending you to.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? Yes. Thank you. Yeah, who has God already brought into your life? I'm just repeating for the people watching. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who's already there in your life that has an area of expertise that you can go to. And as you talk, this came to my mind. There may be somebody that is an opportunity for you to go and to tell somebody's spirit and be in relationship with that's an expert. Maybe they're not a spiritual giant, but maybe they're an expert in an area. And by reaching out to them and them helping you in their area of expertise, you can bring your area of expertise into their life. And it can be a ministry opportunity and benefit both. And I think that there's probably a lot of people that could be won to the kingdom by us just kind of reaching into our community and our world on certain things like that. So I've heard enough to know a little bit more than probably you feel like you know about what this journey with Inner Circle will look like and the frequency, consistency, all that stuff. But I'm not entirely confident. But my assumption is that there will be some type of course or unit like this about once a month. And so this is not going to be every Tuesday. We're just getting started. I wanted to throw it all into one because we're about to go on this retreat, and I wanted you to know some of the faces and that kind of stuff, and so it was important. Normally, I think we will do this at monthly strategic meeting on a Friday where we've got time, that kind of thing, and so that would be something that, remind you, is now mandatory, Tammy, so we don't need to send out the who's coming to monthly strategic anymore because everybody's coming. And so you can just let me know when you're not going to be there, but your permanent RSVP is in place for this year. And so come, and hopefully both you and your spouse are there for these important ones. We will use this kind of stuff for that. And then Tuesday from 10 to 11, it will be more some of the books that we might be reading or discussing, Intentional Church being the next big one to read before the beginning of the retreat. So, read Intentional Church. This has all been published. Tammy, do we have a group Audible account that we can get going and add that? You're welcome to have your own Audible account and spend your own money for all the books that you want. But I think we're going to get like a one church Audible account. I think that's a subscription that's separate from like phone. Yeah, I think that you just can sign up on like Amazon.com, go to Audible, and you just put in a new email address and a new account. Okay, and in the meantime, we might be able to just start one that's it's an individual, but it's just like with subscriptions at Visit One Church or onechurch.com. So we're going to look at that, and Intentional Church is an audible book. For that book it is. Go, if you want to jump on it and you just want to pay a membership to Audible, I think it's $13 a month, and you get $14.95 per person a month, and you get a book a month, like a credit. So that's on you if you want to do that, but we're also going to make that to where you don't have to spend that money and have a group. What you'll want to do when you're in the group account is put you can save a bookmark. So put a bookmark where you stop reading and say Brad. And that way you know, okay, that's where I pick it back up, because somebody else might come in and listen to your book and totally mess up your space. So just at the end, you just like hold the screen and it says bookmark or something, and you add it, put your name on it. Okay, that's how you do the group one. Yeah, that'd be funny. Dave will be that culprit. So the only other books that we're reading as well in this second quarter will be Leadership Pain, and that's at this point going to be a book for DLT as well as the other group of people, that the core team, that second tier. If we want to make that also a book that just our entire staff and lead team are reading together, we can. But for now, I've just kind of said it's core team and staff. Maybe you could think about that. And then I'm letting you pick, rather than give each of you a book or sit down with each of you, because we're playing from behind a little bit here. For the second book in the second quarter, I just decided I was going to give you the option to choose one of two Scott Wilson books. And then in the fourth quarter, I'd really like to hear where you're really wanting to grow, and then maybe together we can pick a book. I'm trying to read the books with you. One of the reasons why our book reading load is very light compared to when we did this before is because I want you to have the margin to say to a team member, to your tactical team, whatever, hey, we're going to read this together. And so to add another book to your two is reasonable for that quarter, potentially, because of that space. And so for me, I want to, like, if you're reading a book that I've never read, and maybe I would like to read it with you, just so I can pace. So I love that our book reading schedule has margin for that kind of stuff. So these are not the only books you can read. They're just some that we're reading together. So that last space in the second quarter is either Scott Wilson's Identity book or his book, Steering Through Chaos. Steering Through Chaos is about 8 years old. I read it when we did this through the first time. It was a great book, and it really fits the time and season that we're in right now. Okay, how do we lead in the midst of just a chaotic time? It's very, very good, but it is certainly more leadership-oriented. Identity, I'm almost done reading. Marcia, you've read the book. It's very good, but it is a lot about who are you, what is God saying, and it's very pastoral in context. It's not super touchy-feely. He tells a lot of stories. It's in the Ready, Set, Grow kind of format, and it's basically stories. But it's like it's, you know how Lencioni writes in fables? It tells stories. And so if you are sitting here and you're like, man, I just really feel like God is trying to strengthen my identity, my security, different things like that, that's the book to read. And then you could also divide and conquer. Your spouse could read one book, and you could read the other. And some of our discussion times, we may break apart, and one of us take the group who's reading identity, and the other take the group who's reading Steering Through Chaos, and kind of just discuss that separately in a DLT type meeting or whatever. So that's the second quarter through the end of June. Any questions about any of this stuff? It's all in writing? I mean, those books are in writing. Not everything else I said, but like second quarter, first quarter, second quarter, yeah. It's on the Google Doc under DLT. Yes? And neither one of those books are on audio or Audible. So you're reading from scratch, or you're getting the PDF and you're plugging it into a PDF reader and it reads it with the robot voice. That's the way I am reading identity, through the robot voice. I think I'm looking at a bunch of people that are probably more prone to go with the Steering Through Chaos book based on who you are. And I think probably most of you need to read the identity book, having read both of them. Because I think that God is trying to make sure that we're good here before we go out here. Read them both if you want. I mean, I'm just going to load the PDF for identity onto DLT for everybody. And again, it's a good book. Like a lot of books, I think you want the book in front of you, highlight, make sure you're thinking principles. That book is really good to just put on when you're driving, and you don't need to write stuff down. It's just super, like, it's his story. Some of it's going to apply, some of it won't. All of it will apply to somebody that you're close to or somebody you lead. It's one of those kinds of books. I do like that about identity. And then with this other one, I don't know that we have it in a PDF. We may be able to ask him for it, Tammy, Steering Through Chaos. But right now, and maybe it's on Kindle. I don't know. I don't know how technology works, if you can download something and make it into a PDF or whatever. But none of us are going to want to flip the page, take a picture, and convert the text or whatever for Steering Through Chaos. Okay, multiplier initiative. This is the journey where we said populate the pool. So hopefully you did that a few weeks ago. Then for today, I asked you to get your target list of 5 written out on that Google Doc that we're all just using. Okay, I would like to, by the end of the day tomorrow, just be able to talk with each of you about the 5 that you're thinking of. So this is just me saying, call me let's divide and conquer. Is that okay? So if you're a female, call Marcia. If you're a male, call me. Let's just hear what you're thinking with your 5. Maybe it's like, I got them figured out. I'm excited about it. Maybe say, man, I got 3, but I just can't figure out 2. Or I'm trying to decide between these 4 people. I don't know how to go through. I'm just trying to be a sounding board. But ultimately, by the end of the day tomorrow, if each of you will reach out to me so that I don't have 14 of you to reach out to. But if I'm not available when you text or call, it's on me to get back in touch with you, that kind of thing. But let's just talk. Let's get that kind of dialed in so that we can begin to take a journey with these people that we're going to lead through. We want to get them reading Ready, Set, Grow if they aren't already, and just all the different things so that on the beginning of the second quarter, and again, that doesn't have to be rigidly April 1st, right? That's Easter week. So like we don't really want to start a bunch of stuff Easter week with this next group of people. It would be nice to start it like the last half of March. So we're not chained to these quarter dates, if you will, or April 1st, July 1st. So just keep in mind, we are knocking on the door. We are a month out right now-ish from really needing to begin this journey with people. And so that's why I'm just keeping this out in front of you.
So I forgot to populate my 5. So if you were like me and you're like, oh yeah, right. Like I just as a reminder to everybody, I just went on and made a to-do in base camp with a due date, because then tomorrow morning, before all of you are calling me, I will have done my part. So just like, if you're like me right now and you're like, okay, I have to have that by whatever, stick it in your to-dos, because it will, otherwise, I just forget.
And why don't the three of us try to, by the end of the day, anything that I gave that was like an action item, let's try to get something on either DLT or Inner Circle that really can just help people be reminding of the action step. But hopefully you took notes and you're good to go. Well, we've already said, so we've already said, let's remember what we've decided. Like, we're going to try to help with some campfire or thread type reminders within DLT or Inner Circle. But we've just decided we do not do group to-dos around here anymore. Anytime we give you something, we're trusting that you will just right now go onto base camp and put a quick to-do and manage your own to-dos. So let's just keep that flow. Anything else on multiplier? Questions? Comments? We're in the beginning and we're not in a flow yet, and I imagine this feels like a lot of work. But once we get in the groove, it'll make a lot more sense, and I don't think it'll feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant the whole time. And on a dime, this thing's going to turn from personal health and growth to organizational. And I want to make sure that we have done a personal part that will sustain the organizational traction we're going to get. We don't want to be Twinkies where we're 75% fluff. So let's really get strong, healthy, that kind of stuff. Is there anything else urgent before we adjourn? I know that I didn't even look at the agenda for today. I don't know if any of you said there was something you needed an answer on today, unlike the what do you want on the board kind of thing. It'll be a short and sweet DLT. Macrofinance will hopefully be short and sweet with Jordan, and then we'll do DLT. I don't want to belabor that. So right now the meeting was scheduled to start at 9:30. Is that right, Tammy? So let's just say 9:30 to 11:30 is our planned window, and if we can get done sooner, we will. For all of our Thursday meetings, including Macrofinance and then DLT. Sam's not back on Thursday, so even that we're going to kind of fake it, if we will. It'll be all on Zoom. You can go from wherever. Yeah, let's just make it the same link that's Macrofinance and. I think everybody is going to be on the chosen flow as of this week, and excited for you. If you need any input from those who did it the first week, just ask. I want to remind you that I think that the promotion of it is not yet over. We have baptisms and that kind of thing. 2 weeks straight of baptism. It's awesome. We have actually probably enough to do it this week, but we're going to delay it anyway just so we don't make it the new every week thing. We didn't have time on Sunday, but I had this thought, like, we should be showing the trailer again on Sundays for this week. Like, just keeping it in front of people rather than me up there talking about it and inviting people. Let me show them the actual stuff that motivates them to come. So keep it on your social media. Keep it in your services. I think this is life-changing. Tell people to go tell somebody about The Chosen. Easy evangelism opportunity. Okay, Anything else? Love you all. Excited to grow with you. All right. God bless.